having being the last thought is like, and then when you have pizza next, then you know like what is the disadvantage. So my name is Abdul Majed. I'm going to talk about the introduction to tweets analysis. I didn't say Twitter analysis because Twitter analysis usually involves a lot of things like fake profile detection, strength of the profile. You can have ranks, all these things. So that's a very bad name, but still we'll go with this name. About myself, I studied in Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, long ago, and I'm the organizer of Bangalore Our User Group. So we have about 900 members. We conduct meetups. Sorry for the advertisement, but it is an open group. We conduct meetups every month, once in every month. Most likely, we'll have the next meetup on April 27th. I'm still looking for space, so you can actually reach out to me on the meetup page or anywhere if you know any space that can host us, or if you want to participate, if you want to give a talk. That's the link. I've already shared this thing, so you can click that and you can go to the page. And then I've also developed a couple of R packages very similar to the Python packages he mentioned. It's available on CRAN, and I just write blogs whenever I get time. Okay, so we'll start with the presentation and what is in Twitter for brands. When was the last time you happily filled a survey with so much truth in it, and you give full attention to it? So every time you call an Amazon executive or probably any B2C company, at the end of the call, irrespective of whether your query was resolved or not resolved, the customer representative is going to tell you very politely, sir, at the end of this call, I'm going to send you a survey. Please fill in it. I don't know how many of you fill in it, but I've not been the fan of filling in surveys. Whenever we get surveys, we usually start like this, or we usually go with the middle one, which doesn't make any sense. It's like no time your election, right? So it is you don't fall in a promoter section, you don't fall in a detractor section. You are passive, and passives don't count for brands most likely. So that is the problem with survey, right? Surveys did not work to get customer feedback, or at least companies are doing that, but it is not genuine survey, genuine feedback. The other thing what companies usually do is focus groups. Like if you are on a especially FMCG brand, let's say you are a Lifebuoy soap, or you are some FMCG shampoo brand, and you want to know how things work, companies usually have this focus group discussion, get customer feedback. But the problem is focus group is you're not actually talking to the exact customer who is going to use it. You're going to talk to a particular representative which is usually available for focus group. So it doesn't entirely represent the population, right? So you have a lot of issues with respect to two feedback collecting mechanism. One is survey, the second one is focus group. So that is where Twitter comes in into the picture. And whenever I mean Twitter, you can actually include Facebook also into it. So people usually rant, right? So every time you order on Swiggy and then you get food late, where is the first place we go and comment? We make sure that we try to sabotage as much as possible for Swiggy's brand, that their NPS goes down 10% because we did not get one food delivered on time, even if it is heavy rain, right? That is what we try to do as much as we can. So Twitter is the place where people actually rant, like real feelings come out on Twitter, unlike your surveys which are very polite answers. So that's a real voice of customer. And then the most important thing is, for any analysis, you're not going to do an individual analysis of seeing what Abdul Majid has tweeted. So it doesn't help you. You want to have an aggregated, consolidated view. So you need a large amount of data. Otherwise, you end up having a little bit noise that you identify as signal, and then you screw up your entire brand image. So you get decent amount of data, you get real voice of customers, and you get true feelings of customers on Twitter. And there is one more big reason. Any guess? There is
Size.
size. I mentioned decent amount of data.
The feedback is very
Concise. Okay, but there is one good reason. Yeah, partly because it is free. It's actually free. Data is expensive, right? Why do you think Google offers you all these free services? It's not because Google is a very good, non-profit organization that wants to improve the entire internet. It's not like that. Everyone knows, right? Google is a public company. They created Alphabet. They want to make money. They are there for making money. So data is more expensive. Even the guy who is sitting at the end of the road who does recharge, who used to do recharge for you, unless until it was killed by Jio. So who used to do recharge for you? He even knew the value of the numbers, the amount of recharge that you do, the ledger that you enter, how he used to sell it. So data is very, very expensive. Good data, quality data, structured data is more expensive, right? So he was talking about actually extracting data from PDF. Social Corps is a company that actually works with a lot of NGOs, Social Corps based out of Gurgaon. they need data. When you want to work with NGOs, they need data from public organization, and they don't have Excel spreadsheet, they don't have CSVs, they don't have any of these platform independent formats. And even if you go today, so I attended a meetup by I think Data Kind couple of weeks back, and they worked with I think Telangana State Transport Department to map out the entire route. And they had literally taken the paper, they had literally scanned it, they had literally converted everything to digital format because the entire schedule was on paper. And they actually made a nice disclaimer also. Few of those schedules were on paper, but most of the schedules were inside the brain of the conductor and driver. Just imagine they had to extract the information from brain, and it's not like deep learning. People talk about, oh, this is we are scanning the. It's not like Minority Report, right? You have got people in there, and then you extract who is going to do the crime. So data is really important. Good data, real data, true data. So that is why we are going to social media, and that is why social media analytics is actually a very hot domain. If you talk about companies like Sprinkler, Social Bakers, they've built custom tool only on social media analytics data, and every time there's an API change by Twitter or Facebook or Instagram on these things, it has a huge business implication on these kind of companies because they are solely built on social media open data publicly available. So in this talk, this is particularly about R. Again, I use R and Python for my data science workflow, but I'm a huge fan of R and Propellant. So we are going to talk about R packages. First, for data collection, we are going to use R tweet. How many of you know R here? One, two. Cool. At least you would get to know slightly more about R. If you are someone who is going to do Twitter analysis on R, whenever you use Google, Google is very good to show irrelevant results these days. So I think a lot of people have turned towards DuckDuckGo for the same reason. So Google will immediately show that there is a package called Twitter capital R. Don't use that. It is very old. So use this R tweet package. Then there is data analysis, which is tidyverse. We are going to do some natural language processing using UDPipe and tidytext, and then finally data visualization ggplot2, which is also part of tidyverse. So this is a workflow. And to cite, RTweet is a package by Michael W. Caney. I think he has done a tremendous job of constantly updating the package whenever Twitter changes its API. And I think almost like 5-6 months back, Twitter, not 5-6 months, I think within last 1 year, Twitter actually had a major change in their API. Even you might have heard about apps like Flamingo or many of the Twitter client apps. They could not even sustain in business because of that change. So that was massive, and he really immediately updated the API. So thanks to him. And yeah, so this is the very simplest method of collecting data. So once you register on Twitter, a developer application, so you have to just create an application. You get 4 keys. You load the package. I'm not going through the package installation. It's very much like PIC. You have to do installed packages. You can find it online. Use this thing. You enter all your key, and then once you create your authentication token, you can store this token for your further use. You don't have to do authentication every time. So what we are doing here is no, I am using a very wrong presentation. Yeah, so this is the show that we are actually going to talk about. So this show, people actually tweeted a lot about this show after this thing, and that's the analysis that we are going to do. How many of you are familiar with this show? Oh, so I know. So then it means like whatever I'm going to talk about, at least people are. And I don't know how every time I have to give a presentation, and there is some show that actually goes controversial. So I think almost 1 year back or 10 months back, I had to give a talk in a PyCon conference, and my topic was around NLP again. And I was using this library Spacey, and that time I was using this Colin Kaepernick's Nike promotion. So that was another big controversial promotion where Colin Kaepernick was hired as an ambassador by Nike. And this time, so godsend, I got this controversial talk where people started tweeting about it, and that's actually a good thing. When you actually feel bored in the weekend and you get a controversial something goes on and people actually talk about on Twitter, then you can actually make some nice visualization, understand about what is going on in your country. So that is a show. And for those who do not know, this is actually a comedy show that has been hosted on Netflix. This guy is called Hasan Minhaj. He used to work in Trevor Noah's comedy show before, so now Netflix got him to do a separate show. So there were a lot of shows, and this show was about Indian elections that came on. And the funniest thing about it is this show was first telecasted or webcasted on Netflix But because majority of Indians we do not have Netflix subscription, no one actually tweeted about it. And then they posted the same show on YouTube after a couple of days. Then suddenly people started tweeting saying that I'm going to cancel my Netflix subscription, even when that person had actually watched the entire show on YouTube. So that's the funniest thing about our country. Disclaimer: this is a very naive analysis. Don't take any outcome out of this other than how to do the analysis. I didn't do text cleaning and text pre-processing properly, which is actually very essential. People can talk about the deep learning models all day, but if you do not have your data, actual data inbuilt, so everyone knows what is GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. You put garbage in, you'll get garbage out. So this is actually we are doing analysis with garbage. And the final objective is for you to just get started with Twitter analysis. That's the only objective of this presentation. Bunch of libraries that we are loading for our purpose, but we actually saw what are all the libraries required in the first slide. So this is the actual code. First step, if you remember the previous slide, we actually collected the tweet. So this is an AND condition. Wherever Hassan Minhaj is mentioned and wherever India is mentioned, because Hassan Minhaj has a show in the US, so you could have global tweets about him, right? So I wanted to just limit it down to India. So I added India keyword. So probably you could be asking me, why didn't you use geolocation as a purpose? But geolocation on Twitter is only captured when you have location on your Twitter app. So if your location is off on your Android phone or iOS phone, Twitter cannot capture your location. So geolocation limits a lot of tweets and it gives you a very less count. So and I also reduced the Twitter count by removing retweets. So what usually Twitter gives you, Twitter API by default gives you is, it gives you RT also. So maybe I'm the source of the first tweet, he has retweeted me. Without that flag, if I extract the tweet, 2 tweets will come with the same content. So what happens is it actually increases the density of the keywords if you want to do an analysis. But you could have a different use case for that, but for my use case, I wanted only my tweet, not the retweets, so I'm excluding retweets. Include RTS false. And I wanted around 5,000 to have some decent aggregation number. And after getting the tweet in a data frame that has a nested data frame, I think all of you understand data frame, which is very similar to Python's data frame pandas, or your tabular format, Excel spreadsheet. And then we are writing it as a CSV, which is platform independent format. In this step, we are actually reading that into the object sent in. And these are the kind of column names that you have got from the Twitter API. So means you can actually if you are someone who likes data, right? This is like vanilla ice cream. I actually like vanilla ice cream. So this is like vanilla ice cream, or probably if you like chicken biryani, so if you can say chicken biryani. So you get so much in it, and you can do heck a lot of things. If you want to launch a new business, you can understand how it is doing. If you want to launch a new movie, you can see how the previous movie of the particular actor was doing or actress was doing. So you can literally see so many things here. That is how valuable data is, right? Whenever you tweet something, this is all Twitter is giving you if you want that API. And this is some kind of sample, so you get user ID, status ID. Like for example, let's say you're a political party, someone has tweeted about you, and then you want to target that user and probably threaten him, so you can use user ID for that purpose. Yeah, so don't do that, but that is why it is made for. Then created when it was created. So let's say you want to do an tweet analysis. Let's say you are like Hotstar, right? And you want to see when people are actually watching the IPL match more. So is it in the first half? Is it in the second half? Is it in the last 3 overs? Is it in the first 3 overs? Is it when AB de Villiers come on to the
Dhoni comes.
Yeah, whenever Dhoni comes, like if you are a CSK fan or probably any fan, right? Dhoni has a universal fan base. So if you are like that, then you can actually use this to do a time series plot to understand when the tweets are peaking. So you can do all these kind of things, and this is all the sample data. I've already commented the GitHub repo, which also has the data, this exact data, because so that you don't have to go through the entire pain of registering on Twitter and downloading data. So it has simple Excel CSV, so you can do this entire analysis in CSV also if you want to practice. That data is available on, I've commented it on the meetup page. So the next is, the first thing is very basic thing we are going to start with. This is, we want to first see what are the Twitter accounts that has tweeted most for this particular keyword, right? So as you can see here, you have something called screen name. The screen name is your Twitter username. So we are going to just simply say, so this is the syntax of tidyverse, and this is called pipe operator, which is very similar to your Unix pipe operator, right? In Unix you have this thing as pipe operator, this straight line. So if you are from Unix world, you would know. So it's simply what it does is, this is a function, the first argument of this function is always a data frame. So what this pipe does is, it takes the left side and then it gives it to the first argument of the right side function. So that is what it does. It actually improves readability a lot. Even if you do not know R, you can read it in English. For example, this is the table. You are counting the screen name, which internally what it does is, it is grouping it by, if you are from SQL world, it is grouping it by screen name and then doing a sum of the count. So it's a count plus group by. That's what it is actually doing. And we are arranging it in descending order, and then we are taking only the top 10. This is an actual R code, but it's more easy to read. And these are the screen names that you are actually getting. Donkey Cheeky Dung. So that is one Twitter username that has tweeted about it. Thanos is the hero. That is another Twitter name that has tweeted 7 times about this thing. So these are the Twitter names. And what can you do with this? This is actually crucial to understand. What can you? So while it might look so funny, the thing that you can actually do with this is, a lot of time if you actually see, for example, Arnab Goswami started Republic TV. So he had this essence to train his tweet. So every news channel, these days, what they do, they actually have a Twitter hashtag, right, running all through the day. And the way they decide their successes, whenever this tweet actually gets retweeted a lot and then it trends on Twitter, right? That is how they measure. It's no one cares about what the truth is, but people actually measure, oh, Republic TV is successful because their Twitter is trending. And how many of you have watched the Silicon Valley series? Silicon Valley, right? So you would have seen the episode where Click Farm in Bangladesh was shown, when Pied Pipers app started getting more. So exact same thing happens in social media also, right? Social media agencies are available. They have click farms, and what they do is simply, you have 10 computers, probably 20 computers with a Twitter client like TweetDeck that will let you log into like probably 5-6 accounts at the same time. So 10 accounts in one machine, 10 computers, 10 into 10 is 100, right? So 100 accounts, if you tweet twice in each account, how many you get? 100 into 2, 200 tweets. You can tweet just like this. Just like this, at the same time you can make 200 tweets. So the more number of tweets that you do, Twitter automatically assumes that this is a trending hashtag in this particular geolocation, so let us boost it up. That is how things happen, right? So for you to understand that, you can actually use the screen name. You can see if the same person is tweeting the same shit again and again and again and again. Whether this is an attempt to sabotage your brand, very much like how you want to track a DDoS, right? You want to track a DDoS by seeing what is the IP, where it is coming from, do you want to put a firewall? So very much similar to that, you want to see whether the actual hashtag trending. The reason I'm actually talking about this is, it is no more a technical thing. We are living in a world where fake news could be as same as real news, right? So why does WhatsApp has to do a lot of initiatives, especially for India, to curb fake news? Because only in India, or probably in a lot of countries it happens, but at least in India, you see some video, you immediately believe it is real, and then you take some person and you kill him, right? As simple as that. The entire workflow is so fast that you see the video, you kill the person is dead. So the lifetime is very simple. So for that simple purpose, Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook, all these companies are coming up with good initiatives in India to curb fake news. So as a consumer, if you ever want to know whether a hashtag that is being trending is actually real, representative of people's feelings, or is done by some social media agency behind it, you can actually see the lot of screen names. If more number of, like for example, there is one screen name that has tweeted about this hashtag or this keyword 15 times in a given period, then you can probably assume that the intention of this person is not really to talk about his feelings, but it is something else, right? Because no one is going to spend that much time talking about the same thing 15 times without RT. It is all, I'm talking about source, exact source tweet, not RT. So that is how you can use it to identify fake hashtag trendings. The next is tweet client source. I think if you follow someone called MKBHD on YouTube for tech reviews, MKBHD usually does something called a Twitter police, right? So he, I think he identified Anushka Sharma tweeting from, I think, iPhone about Galaxy ad or Pixel. I think she was Pixel ambassador, but she actually tweeted about Pixel from an iPhone, and this was caught. So those kind of things usually happen, and this is how the source is what shows you that, and you can actually identify it. Another way you can identify fake hashtag trending by using this. Imagine if you are a original customer, right? If you are an actual person who wants to tweet something, you would use your phone and tweet it. Maximum you would use your computer and tweet it, right? So possibly Android, iPhone, client. These three could be the possible reasons. You are not going to use Tweetbot. You are not going to use Buffer. You are not going to use Hootsuite unless until you are a marketing agency where you have multiple accounts. So the way you can identify whether it is driven by marketing agency, social media agency is to see if the source is actually Hootsuite or Buffer or Tweetbot or Flamingo. A lot of consumers use Flamingo. I agree with that. A TweetDeck, then you can actually see, oh, probably this is again driven by some kind of marketing agency who wants to make good amount of money. So that is why client source. And the next one is hashtag. So it has a lot of codes. Let me just break it down. First, you take the data frame, the table, then you have entire text, right? You know a tweet will have entire text, and then it has a hashtag. So everything is a word. This is tokenizing just by splitting every sentence by words. So if it is like India is my country, India is 1, is 2, my is 3, country is 4. So it will have 4 rows instead of 1 row. That is what you are doing honest. Then counting hashtag, I'm just normalizing it to lowercase, and then I'm doing descending order. And then this is a little bit of factor reordering. If you are from R background, so you know that by default when you plot something in R, it takes ascending order or alphabetical order. So you want to play with it, so you are reordering the factor manually. And finally, you are leaving out missing values. You are taking top 20. So what this particular section is doing is it is simply creating a table of top 20 hashtags. That is what it simply is doing. And then we are going to use ggplot, which is the visualization library. We want a bar graph, geom underscore bar. Geom stands for geometry. Our x-axis is hashtag, y-axis is the count, and then leave out all these things. And then we are flipping the coordinates. From a vertical bar, we are going into horizontal bar. And then we are using some minimum theme. And then this is the plot. So what we have done is this is one expression. This is one single expression. In one single expression, we have taken the data frame. We have identified the top 20 hashtags, and then we have plotted the plot also. And this is how it looks. Top 20 hashtags. You have title, you have subtitle, and like the top is Patriot Act, India, boycott Netflix. Netflix. I told you about the funny thing about boycott Netflix. Indian election, Hassan Minhaj election 2000 Modi, Patriot Act, Lok Sabha elections, Pakistan. All these things are there, right? So this is the plot. But you know the thing with data visualization is a very powerful tool when you use it properly, right? So I show this plot to you, and then you'll be like, yeah, I get insights that I want, right? You know, okay, what are the top 20? You have 2019 election, you have Patriot Act. This is very intuitive, right? You get it, what is in the picture, but it doesn't look interesting. You need to have interesting plot for people to read it, right? So how many times we actually, go through the complete details of the plot? Do you see source in here? You don't see source in here, right? Do you know what is the y-axis? You don't know what is y-axis. Okay, in this case at least x-axis. You don't know what it is, right? So we don't pay complete attention to the plot. So we need to get, something to get attention of the audience. If you are making visualization, especially in a business setup, your executives are not very much interested in the boring plot that you usually show without any theme. So what we do is, I wanted to actually do a little bit of theming on it. So because it was about Indian election, I thought we'll give some Indian flag theme. So I found a Stack Overflow answer how to do that. So what we are doing is we are just creating an empty canvas of Indian flag with the color gradient, and then we are superimposing that plot that we created on top of it. So that's what we are doing, and this is how it looks now. So you have this Ashok Chakra's color, and then you have this tricolor. And now it looks, slightly more Indian thematic, so that you know that this is a Patriot Act episode. It is an Indian flag theme. So that is the first analysis. That will give you what are the hashtags that you've got. So this until now what we did is simple data manipulation. So whatever you do with Excel, you can do it with that. So now we are entering into slightly more NLP, natural language processing stuff. Again, nothing very hi-fi. So what we are going to do is we are going to extract topics. So a tweet will not have any topic, right? A tweet is a bunch of words. So we are trying to extract topics from it. We need a bit of cleaning. So every tweet will have hashtags. So if you want to do topic analysis, of course, the hashtag that we just saw before will come as a topic, right? We don't want necessarily that. So we are going to just replace another Stack Overflow question. So the reason I put the Stack Overflow link is one, to credit the user. The second one is means like you really do not have to remember the syntax, which all of us means most of the experienced programmers would know that Not everyone can remember all the syntaxes. Of course, everyone relies on Stack Overflow. When Stack Overflow goes down, so we all go home, right? So it's like that. Now what we are doing is we are downloading a language model. The library that we are using is UDPipe. UD in that stands for Universal Dependencies. We are downloading a language model which is English language model. That language model that we have downloaded, now we are using that language model to annotate the text. So we created a new column called text underscore no hashtag, removing all the hashtag with the rejects that we did. So we are annotating it, which means it will pick the tweet, it will mark, okay, this is your noun, this is your verb, this is your adjective, this is your preposition, this is your lemma, this is your stemmed word. It will do all these things. That is what annotating here is. And that output finally we are converting into data frame for our further analysis. So you need a language model, you take the language model and then you annotate your text. And this is how it's Spacey, so those who are from Python world, Spacey also does it very similarly. And the algorithm that we are going to use is called rapid automatic keyword extraction. Do not ask me what is the math behind it, I definitely do not know. But what it actually does is, it creates a co-occurrence words. So you have one word, it's very similar to how your conditional probability works. So given this word, what is the probability of this word occurring? So it gives a score, and based on the relative score, it creates phrases like topics. But this is not the only method for topic extraction. The naivest method that you can actually do is, you can take a noun, you can take a verb, and then you can combine them, and that will give you a topic. Noun and adjective, not noun and verb. Noun and adjective you can take, and then the most frequently occurring is your topic. Or probably you can use TF, term frequency, IDF, inverse document frequency, which is another approach where you see how many times this word has occurred in this particular sentence, how many times it has occurred in the entire document, and then based on that you create a metric, and then you create topics from that. There are multiple approaches. This is much easier for me to explain, and usually it has given me a lot of good topics in my business environment. By the way, this has nothing to do with my employer at all. Okay, I work for Cisco, and then Cisco doesn't do Hassan Minhaj analysis. So this is just my hobby, so I've used it. So what we are actually doing is, we are taking only noun and adjective. Because we have already annotated, you can see the data frame that we annotated is X. POI stands for part of speech. We are saying part of speech where noun and adjective, we are taking that, and then we are trying to take the lemma. Lemma, of course, everyone must have heard about it if you have heard about NLP. Lemma and stemming are two different techniques to take a word and then convert it to the root word. For example, delivered. Okay, so food was delivered. Delivered is the word, actual word. Your stem will say deliver. It will remove the last two, delivered ed, and then it will say it is a root word which is deliver. But the stemming is actually very fast. You don't need a language model for stemming. Stemming is very fast. But the problem with stemming is, for example, if you have something like occurring, OCCURING, where it will remove ing and then you will get OCCUR, occur. Right, but if you have some other word like occurrence or these things, then you will have an incomplete word with stemming. So lemma is more advanced, but it will take more time. So depending upon how fast you need the output, you can go with the lemmatization technique, or you can go with stemming technique. So I've gone with the lemmatization because it was not a real-time application or anything. So this function will do all the thing and give you the topics. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to take only the words where the frequency has occurred more than 5 times. And then again descending order slice 30, which means I'm taking top 30 and doing all the reordering technique. And what I've done here is my plot, and then again I wanted to give a little bit of more thing to let people know what exactly I'm talking about. So I've taken the initial poster that I showed you, the Patriot Act Netflix poster. I'm going to superimpose that on my GG plot, the visualization. This is how it looks. Of course, you cannot read all these things. Okay, doesn't show it. You can see the words on the GitHub. I have put the images on GitHub, but this is how it looks. So all the topics and the visualization. So the advantage with this is, for example, if you are a brand, a very naive way of understanding what people are talking about is your word cloud, right? So you do a word cloud. There are many tools to do word cloud. You'll get an individual word that will come out as, this is what the audience are talking about. But not necessarily it helps every time. It helps. Word cloud really helps. Contrary to the popular belief that a lot of basic methods don't help, only deep learning helps us. Complete BS. Sorry. But yeah, so there are so many basic methods that really help in your data analysis, even if you understand the basic very well. So word cloud is one of such methods that will really give you a fast, quick snapshot of what people are talking about, right? So word cloud will give you, but where word cloud will fail is word cloud will give you only unigrams. Unigram is like a word with single word. Not necessarily a single word could make a lot of sense, right? Happy and not happy are different. If you do word cloud, happy will come as the most frequently used word when people were actually talking about not happy, right? So you get a different picture. So that is why you have to go for some topic extraction method, and please do not confuse this with topic modeling. Topic modeling is completely different. The LDA methods that you use, where you group things and then try to come up with topics. Here you extract topics from the words, so from the text corpus that you have got. So it is really helpful in your business environment to understand what people are actually talking about if you have a brand. And this is again one more thing that you can actually do more with that. We'll try to show this if we can. Can you see it? Yeah, so what this is doing is rake as a score. Okay, so better the score is, it is more proper topic, and this is the frequency, right? So you've got rake score and frequency score. What you are trying to do here is, sometimes you could misunderstand without looking at this that there could be a rake topic here, but that was less frequently used. So you could be thinking that, oh, probably I got this thing, I have to focus on this thing. If you are a brand, not as a hobby analysis, but if you are a brand, you could misunderstand a topic with more frequency, more rake score, versus a topic with more rake score and less frequency. So what you want to do is, you want to focus these areas, right? And because it is more frequently used and it has more rake score. So for you to do this trade-off analysis, which one to pick, which one not to pick, which bug you should be focusing on. For example, people could be writing about your app, people could be writing about your website, but you need to now make a call of which one you should be focusing on. So for that purpose, you can have a text plot like this thing and understand the trade-off between your frequency and rake score, and then decide what you want to focus on. Next. Yeah, that's it. Just one more information, this entire presentation was created using R. So I've not used any presentation tool. So the entire presentation was created only using R and R Studio. The entire source code is already posted on GitHub. It uses a package called Zaringen. I think it should be pronounced as Zaringen, like Xiaomi. So Zaringen. Zaringen in the background, it uses remark.js and knitr and R markdown, some of the packages. And some credits. Zaringen has been created by Yuhi. He works at RStudio. UDpipe is a package that has been created by Jan, and it is actually very popular. The good only alternative available in R for Spacey is UDpipe. Not that level of Spacey. Spacey is really an awesome package, but UDpipe is decent. And tidyverse, of course, every R user will of course use tidyverse. And yeah, thank you. Any questions? Like, did it make any sense? No? Like what? Did you talk in Chinese and then asking for questions? Cool. I know this is not a crowd with our background, but feel free to check it out. You don't have to really know R programming. You can put any keyword there in the code that I've given, and you can generate all these plots provided you generate Twitter keys. Thank you very much. And if you want to visit our meetup, so register on meetup account, and you can visit our meetup, Bangalore R user group anytime. Thank you.